Good morning. It is Tuesday. I keep wanting to say Monday, but it's Tuesday, May the 27th of 2025. And again, I'm going to have to find another expression for like a warm and hot ashes, but that's what I have been this whole weekend. So I'll have to tell you about that. But it's been raining a little bit this morning in my old Kentucky home, and my husband has just gone riding, so guess what? I'm just making a video from the house. So, I tell you, you're all going to feel sorry for me when we get to the end of this video if you're not laughing about the funny story I have to tell. We have talked, my girl, which you know is 17, graduating from high school this Friday, the 30th, and we've talked about these two horses she has, and you've seen videos of them. I love them. You know how you get attached to animals. She's 17. We've had them since she was 8 years old. So you know how that is to get attached to animals. But this last year of her school with softball and working, going to school, ball games that she wanted to go to, just different things going on. She hasn't had time to take care of these horses. And you know who's been doing it. This old 73-year-old woman going down the barn, taking Max and him barking and flipping around. And, you know, as much as I love these horses, I don't want to feed them every day. I don't want that responsibility. And, you know, she has gotten to where she's just accepted me doing it about every day. And like if she gets home at 5 or 6, and I'll say I've already fed the horses, well, she's glad because she's tired. And sometimes when I have said, before she's left the house, maybe of an afternoon, I'd say, are you going to feed the horses? Well, yeah, I guess. And, you know, not that she wanted to. Now, used to, before she was driving, she would get them out and brush them, braid their manes, braid their tails, spray them with fly spray, just down there pampering on them, you know, a lot. I mean, she used to spend hours down there. But she's outgrown that. And she doesn't understand the concept in life that we outgrow things. We've all got different things that we have to do. And, you know, throughout my lifetime, I honestly have never thought until just the last about 3 years, I guess, 3 or 4 years, more seriously, about not living here on this farm all my life. But, you know, things have changed, and I've told my husband, see, he does not want to live in town. And the little house that I have is right on Main Street, but when I'm talking about Main Street, I'm talking about a tiny town that, you know, not much going on, but the houses are pretty close to each other. But see, I like that because I grew up like that as a child. I grew up right there on Main Street, right next door to where my little house is. So I have told my girl, I said, you know, I've always told her, especially since she's been in high school, when you go to college, if something should happen to your dad before it does me, I'm selling this farm and I'm going to move to the little house. You know, just one person. I don't need this. Our house was built in the 70s, but it's got, you know, the normal floor, and then it's got a full-size basement that we lived in for a couple of years before we built the upstairs. So really, we've got 2 living quarters. And we stay in like, you know, 3 or 4 rooms of it is all we use upstairs. So me and her have talked about the horses. And we had found someone that maybe would board them this fall. We hadn't talked to them yet, but it's a granddaughter that lives with her grandfather and grandmother. Great people. They don't live far from us. So the young girl, who is probably about 20-ish, She has 6 or 7 horses. She's got goats, chickens, pigs. She loves animals. And we talked to her, and she said she would board the horses for us this fall. So we said, we would talk about it more this summer when everything kind of slowed down. And so the other day I saw the grandmother, and she's had a knee replacement. And this is the second time she's had a knee replacement on that same knee. And I was saying, when school's out and everything settles down, I want you and your husband and the granddaughter to come over to the barn where our horses are, and we'll all go down there and talk about boarding the horses and what. And I mean, I know she's got so much on her because she's got one daughter who has got 5 girls, and she's divorced. Good mama. But she's got a full-time job and works out of town, and this lady I'm talking about helps take care of these kids, running them places and cooking and doing for them. And so she told me that day, she said, I'm not coming over there to the barn to talk about this, because she said my granddaughter is going to be leaving to go to college in January. She's been taking some classes just locally, and she said, I am not going to be able to take care of horses. So we've already got 6 or 7, and she said 2 of them are blind and need to be put down. They're old and they don't have the heart to do it. And she said, I will not be helping take care of them. So I'm so glad. Here's another crooked path made straight. I'm so glad I sat with her that afternoon at the awards ceremony and found that information out. Because, see, all along we had thought, well, when August comes, we're just going to have those horses over there, and then I wasn't going to have to worry about them. Well, this was a big worry. Wonder if we had taken them over there, and then in January, pop, we got to get rid of them, take them somewhere else. So anyway, I went to the birthday party of one of my little great nephews Sunday afternoon. You talk about the Lord working things out. Well, here we were at the birthday party, and I was sitting with one of my nieces. I've got 3 nieces, and my sister-in-law. And my girl was sitting there too, and I said, we was talking about her going to school this fall and different things about that, and I said, I was worried about the horses. I said, you don't know anybody that would be interested in buying these horses. Now, the thing about it is, we've spoiled them, and they've never been apart, except when the boy, the light-colored one, was taken to be broke to ride, and he was away from her. Okay, they have never been separated, except for a few weeks that we sent Casper, the light-colored one, to be broke to ride. And the mom just grieved, and nickered for him. And so since he came back, they have never been apart. Never. And I can see them out in the field right now, and, they stay pretty close to each other. So, my niece said, well, I have a friend that has horses. Let me text her and ask her if she has any ideas, or if she would be interested in them. So she texted the girl. And so by the time I got back home then my niece texted and said she's not interested, and gave me the name of this guy. Get on Facebook, look him up, and send him a message. So I did, which he lives about maybe 30 miles, not very far. So we texted back and forth, and he said he would come yesterday, Monday morning, and look at him and tell us what he thinks. Nicest fella you've ever met. He's probably late 30s, probably late 30s, I'd say. Just a country boy, just, hard worker, has grown his own business. He has like 10 horses, and he has 2 young daughters, like 7 and 10. And he said our life consists of them going to school, going to church, and riding horses. And they ride as a family, him and his wife and these 2 girls. And I had told my girl and my husband, I said, when he comes, let's not jump to any conclusions. Let's just see how we feel about him. Of course, you know, I've been praying about this for weeks, about these horses. So he went down to the barn. My girl rode the light-colored one because the older one, the dark-colored one, Hershey, is a little bit older, and she don't need to be ridden hard or very much. So she rode the other one, and he stayed about 2 hours. I mean, I really did like him. And I felt really good about him. And we said, now we want to make sure that they're not separated. We want them together because they love each other. And you know how women are, you know, my girl and me have got these, love feelings, you know, and I'm always, every time she comes up from the barn, comes in the house after she's fed them, I'll say, what did they say? And she'll say, not much. You know, we just act silly about the horses. Or I'll say, the horses said, why do I have to bring Max down there? You know, because he causes such a stink. So anyway, this guy said, I don't need the horses, and I don't want to buy them. But he said, I am a horse trader and have been since I was about 11 years old. He said he would look around because he works like with 4-H, and you know he's got those young girls. He said, I'll look around and see if I can find a family that would take both of them and, you know, be good to them. He said, now I'm telling you right now, if I bought them, I would not keep them together. I would keep this younger one, and I'd sell that other one before I got home. But he said, I don't want to buy them, and I'm not going to, you know, he wouldn't do that to us. So anyway, he left. He said he'd be looking around to see if he could find somebody. Well, yesterday afternoon, he called. And he said, I think I found the perfect family for your horses. And I said, you're kidding? I mean, I just was so nervous I couldn't hardly stand it, thinking, oh, what have we done? You know, because we didn't, you know how the Lord works things out for you. We're not in control, and we have to accept that. Well, honey, he said this guy, young guy, he's probably in his 30s or 40, probably about the same age, lives just not too awfully far from here, but just in the next county over. He's got 2 young kids that like to ride, I think is what it is. But anyway, he is supposed to call, and they want to come down and look at them. Now, I don't know how that's going to work out. He's not called yet, and that was yesterday afternoon, and it's about 9:30 Tuesday morning, so we'll just see. You know, I have felt like so much peace, so much more relief to know that we've got a plan in action. Well, my girl didn't feel like that. She cried. And she said, you promised we wouldn't get rid of them until August. I said, no, I did not promise. I said, I never had a clue it would happen this fast. I'm tired of talking about that. I'll let you know what happens, but right now we're just kind of hanging loose. Oh, just since I was making this video, I had to stop it. And she's at school because the senior class, have got their caps and gowns on today, and they are going through the elementary schools, like walking down the hallways. They're going to 3 schools today. They went to 1 the other day. So one of her best friends, who lives about 5 miles from us, has one of those barns, I don't know if it's prefabricated or not, but anyway, she boards a few horses, and then she's got a few horses herself. So they have come up with this idea this morning. My girl just called and said, I've got a great idea. And I said, what is it? She said that her friend has agreed to board the older horse that my girl wants to keep so badly because she's had her the longest. And then we'll sell the other one. So there's another option. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I'll let you know. But I mean, I have been on pins and needles, and my husband won't speak up, you know, and here I am trying to be real kind. And I was telling my girl yesterday, I said, life changes, you know, you're not a kid anymore. You don't have time. You're not going to be here I don't want to feed the horses. Things are going to change. That's a little hard to get through to somebody, but anyway. Oh, let me tell you this. We were at the birthday party Sunday night, and it's one of those jumping things. They had like 3 of those inflatables. A lot of small children there. There was this little boy there, cutest thing ever was, had red hair, short, just kind of stood up, freckles, just a little bit chunky. He said he was 7 years old. Well, he was as sweaty as could be. You know, he had been jumping. Well, he had gotten out of one of the jumping things and was standing there by one of my nieces. So I was getting ready to leave, and I went around, I hugged all my nieces, my sister-in-law, and my niece's husbands, and whatever kids I can get a hold of. And I was hugging all of them. Well, I walked over to this one niece, and I was hugging her, and this little boy walks up. I mean, just, you can imagine, red-haired with these freckles. And he said, "Oh, are you her grandmother?" Which, you know, very likely could have been. And she said, "No, that's my aunt." And I said, "I'm her aunt." Well, it's like even at 7 years old, he knew that he had said something that probably he shouldn't have said. And he put his little hands on my face, just so kind, except, you know, it was like this, his thumbs was right here. And he said, well, you're so sweet or something. He said, and those little bags look so pretty. I tell you what, I thought I would get down in the floor. He liked these little bags under my eyes. And his mom was kind of standing behind me, and I kind of turned a little bit because I didn't want her to hear what he had said, because I knew she would just be beside herself. But, you know, the innocent of kids, he thought those looked real pretty, those little bags under my eyes. Well, my niece and me both just cracked up laughing, and I hugged him, and I said, "You were just the sweetest thing ever." And he was. He didn't make me mad. Wait a minute, I've got something down here. If you've not watched that little Chit Chat, Granny Pat did that little short video of visiting up in London where all that tornadoes was a couple weeks ago. If you've not watched that, look at that. And she talks to some people that were affected by the storm, and it was really interesting, and really, I just can't imagine. I don't even want to. I don't want to see it. She was very brave to do that. But it was very interesting. Chit Chat Granny Pat. And it was like I think it's like a 10 or 12 minutes. It's not very long. And look that up. It's very eye-opening. Someone had told me yesterday, this young family that I had told you had lost their house. They were in the basement of their house when the tornado hit in the northern part of this county. And after it went through, the dad, which I had him in high school, he's probably 43, 4, something like that. He called his parents to see if they were all right, and they said, yes, they were all right. Are you all right? And that boy said, no, it's, you know, blown our house away. And they were in the basement. And I mean, their house, nothing left. I just can't imagine that. I just can't imagine. You know, we've got all this stuff we think we have to have. Like all my books I've got around here, and just little letters and cards and different things. Nothing is left. This little thing I want to read you was in a Sunday school book, and I thought it was very interesting. It said, we will not always understand what God is doing or why, but we can always trust that God is doing the right things for the right reasons in the right seasons. Through our faith in God, we find peace with whatever He chooses to do in our lives and the world. That is so, so true. You know, we hear people say so many times, Why did something happen to so-and-so? They were such a good person. Or, this one is so mean. Why don't he get punished for that? Or they hurt my feelings. Why don't, it's God's. It's God's way of doing things. And he does them for the right reasons. And sometimes if we can look back at situations, we can see where in the long run, that it's come out like it should. All right. I'm not trying to be gloom and doom. I'm pretty good. I am pretty good mood this morning. I've got to read you this too. And then I'll probably read the funny story because I'm doing a lot of reading today. But I was thinking about, I like to give us something to think about. But it's not sad stuff. Saturday morning, I was listening to Senior Insights and different YouTubes. And see, I'll just sit and watch them. And I think, I don't need to sit and watch them. Like Lois, I don't have to sit and watch her. I could get up and be cleaning, but I don't want to. Chit Chat Granny Pat, I could sit and listen to her. But I could be up doing stuff, but I don't want to do it. So what are you going to do? Here I sit. But I was going through some drawers over here. Now, I've been through them before, but I thought there's probably something else I can throw away in those drawers. But I have a group, I've told you, of best friends, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I still think they're 9. One of my friends said they thought there was 10. And here we are a few years ago. This is the one right here that's standing in the front with the white hair, with her arms crossed. She's the one that I write the letter to every week that lives just a few miles from me. Now, we have been friends since elementary school, and we still get together, fairly often. And I know that if I was to reach out to any of these girls, they would be there for me in a minute. Now, this one right here, no, that's me back there with that curly hair. This one right here is probably the one that I am the closest to, that I talk to almost on a daily basis. And she worries about me because, I'm a nut. But she sent me this card just out of the blue one day and sent this little piece in there. And I want to read it to you because I wonder if anybody else can relate to this. A while back I was talking about marriages. Just recently I was, and talking about, having good marriages or whatever. And some of you said how close you are to your husbands, or I had a husband or two reach out and say, how close they were to their wife, or how they share everything, how they're best friends, how they enjoy doing stuff together. And see, my marriage is totally opposite from that. But I take my marriage vows very seriously. And I've done things throughout my life I'm not proud of. I'm not a saint by any way. But she sent me this little thing, and it's so true about marriage. And this verse at 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8 says, love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. That's some powerful verses. I'm going to read you this, and I'm going to read you the funny story, so I hope you'll listen to it and see if you can relate to this. Occasionally, one comes across a story that speaks so loudly it cannot be ignored. This is such a story. Told beautifully and simply, it has endured through the years, though I no longer know who first told it. Here's the story. I have always had an abhorrence of funerals and dead people. When my dad died, I flew back east for the service. As I viewed his cold, lifeless body in the casket, I felt nothing. The inanimate figure bore no resemblance to Pop, who had always been so happy-go-lucky and full of life. His strengths were also his weaknesses. His devil-may-care attitude made life a constant struggle for Mom. Pop was a traveling salesman, but he was much better at traveling than he was at selling. In death, as in life, he left stacks of unpaid bills. When the moment came to close the casket, my heart dropped as I saw Mom lean over and kiss him. Then she whispered in his ear, as she had done countless times before when he had left for trips, "Bye, Pops, I'll be seeing you." She was sending him off on his final journey with the promise that she would join him. That gesture was an education for me. It told me more about Mother's love for Dad than anything I had witnessed in all my years at home. I wouldn't have missed it for the world. There's a lot of folks in this world who carry signs and shout slogans about love. They get the headlines. They are others who quietly practice love, day in and day out. Perhaps those who wish to have trial marriages could learn something from the wife mentioned in this story. It seems as though many people have decided to forget the for worse part of their marriage vows. We have made a terrible mistake in judgment in our country. It is either the elite of society or the radicals who get the spotlight when love and marriage are the subject of discussion. Perhaps we should instead shine a light on people like the wife of this story. For it is that type of person who keeps our country together. Those who stick it out through thick and thin. Those who take their marriage vows seriously. Those who go on loving day in and day out without anybody shouting any cheers for them. Yes, it is the people whose love is genuine enough to carry them over the tough times that we are indebted to. Love is a small word, just 4 letters, yet it covers a multitude of sins and shortcomings. And that means a lot to me. Now, I'm going to read you a funny story, and I'm going to get off here. Because I already started this video once, and I'm going to have to combine this one with that other one using my expert editing skills. And this one's already 20 minutes, and that other one's probably 10, and nobody's going to watch this till the end. But if your husband wants to hear the funny story, tell him to turn his hearing aids up. Now, I have heard this story a different way, and I didn't realize it till I got right down to the bottom of it. But I think you'll get a life out of it anyway. I did. Confession. This is a confession of a lady. During lunch at work last week, I ate 3 plates of ramja, which is a kidney bean plate. I had to look that up, which I know I shouldn't. When I got home, my husband seemed excited to see me and exclaimed delightfully, "Darling, I have a surprise for dinner tonight." He then blindfolded me and led me to my chair at the dinner table. I took a seat, and just as he was about to remove my blindfold, the telephone rang. He made me promise not to touch the blindfold until he returned and went to answer the call. The rajma I had consumed was still affecting me, and the pressure was becoming unbearable. So while my husband was out of the room, I seized the opportunity, shifted my weight to one leg, and let one go. It was not only loud, but it It smelled like a fertilizer truck running over a skunk in front of a garbage dump. I took my napkin from my lap and fanned the air around me vigorously. Then shifting to the other leg, I ripped off 3 more. The stink was worse than cooked cabbage. Keeping my ears carefully tuned to the conversation in the other room, I went on releasing atomic bombs like this for another few minutes. The pleasure was indescribable. Eventually, the telephone farewell signaled the end of my freedom, so I quickly fanned the air a few more times with my napkin, placed it on my lap, and folded my hands back on it, feeling very relieved and pleased with myself. My face must have been the picture of innocence when my husband returned, apologizing for taking so long. He asked me if I'd peeked through the blindfold, and I assured him I had not. At this point, he removed the blindfold, and 12 dinner guests seated around the table with their hands to their noses chorused, "Happy birthday." Now that's funny. Remember I told that one, that I know what it reminds me, that one I told the other day about the man working in the office and nobody acknowledged his birthday, not his family, and then she kind of was like she was coming on to him, and he went to her apartment, and while she went to change clothes, he got naked, and then when she walked back in, of course, he had a blindfold on. Why did he have a blindfold? No, he didn't have a blindfold on. But when she opened the bedroom door and all of his family come pouring out. Oh, the reason he got a divorce, I think is what it was. Anyway, hope you got a laugh out of that. Now, I've got to get on with my rat killing. My little friend, my little 86-year-old friend, you know, that I took that food to the other day, the lady that helped take care of her that broke her foot, she's having surgery today, so say a prayer for her. Also, please say a prayer that we can do the right thing. I just pray the Lord will lead us to do the right thing. Also, hey, I'm not going to admit it, Cynthia, and some of you others that say, or Lois, now what was I talking about? Prayers. Anyway, I'm going up to see my little 86-year-old. She had me to go to the bank, cash a check for, and I made some French toast, and I'm going to take her some of that. And I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to. Rain or shine, it's kind of clouding up a little bit, but I don't care. I'm still going to get out. I'm going to go to the post office. I'm going to just enjoy myself and see my little friend, and we're going to try to work something out with these horses, and I'm going to let you know, and I will see you soon, okay? Bye-bye.